please. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraja Acharya Ashtotara Shri Mothers of Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraja Acharya Ashtotara Shri Mothers of Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvipa Dham Ki Jai Ganga Imunamai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai New Govardhan Dham Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. Okay. Hare Krishna. So today is a very special day, holiday. It is the appearance day of Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Raghunandana Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami, Vishnupriya Devi, and also the disappearance of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It's also Vasant Panchami. It's also Saraswati Puja. And it's also the day His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami accepted sannyas from Srila Prabhupada 50th anniversary in Jaipur. So there's a lot of celebrations going on. So before we start the Bhagavatam, we could just read, discuss these different personalities. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karitavachalam Pungam Langayate Gidim Yakipatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Diditaranam Vancha Kapadirubhisha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Brahmanityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we'll start with Pundarik Vidyanidhi. He's quite a unique devotee, transcendental pure devotee. So, all right. A disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri, Pundarik Vidyanidhi was Sri Gadadhar Pandit's guru, an intimate friend of Sri Damodar. In Jagannath Puri, Pundarik Vidyanidhi met Sri Damodar after a long separation. In a joyful mood of friendship, Pundarik and Sri wanted to take the dust from each other's feet. So these personalities, Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Sri Damodar Goswami, it says after a long separation, they started to, in a joyful friendship, take the dust from each other's feet. So it's authentic, bona fide. You could do that if you want with other devotees. We have our tapas here and a Gaura Lila Prabhu. He is in his unembodied form here somewhere. I guess he's back there. Maybe he'll come out soon. But they have a transcendental competition going on when they, not every time they see each other, but sometimes, right? Tapas? Who wins, you or him? He always wins? You're trying to win? Okay. Another pretty good, equal match. Because it said that there's three things that are very spiritually powerful. It's the dust from a devotee's feet, the water that washed the feet of a devotee, or the remnants of prasadam, means what they've left behind, what they've eaten and left behind. So those have transcendental power to give one love for Krishna. So that's what they're doing here, trying to take each other's feet, dust. A scuffle began as they tried to simultaneously catch the feet of one another, but at the same time avoiding having their own feet caught. Both being quite strong, neither won. But Sri Gauranga and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu enjoyed their sporting play, and everyone laughed. Pundarik Vidyanidhi has other names: Sri Vidyanidhi, Acharya Nidhi, Bhakti Nidhi, and Prema Nidhi, given by Lord Chaitanya. Simply by hearing his name, said Lord Chaitanya, the whole world becomes purified. Prema Nidhi's pure devotion caused Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu to sometimes cry profusely and call out loudly, Bap, Father, Pundarik. Pundarik is my father, my dearmost friend. When will I see him again? So Lord Chaitanya had this special relationship with him because Lord Chaitanya is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. And who's Srimati Radharani's father? Vrishabhanu Maharaj. So Pundarik is Vrishabhanu, actually. He's in Chaitanya Lila. Vrishabhanu becomes Pundarik in Chaitanya Lila. And Lord Chaitanya, again, is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, so it's interesting Lord Chaitanya is calling him Father, right? Father. Continually floating in the sea of Krishna Prem, love for Krishna, Pundarik often showed ecstatic bodily symptoms of tears, repulsion, falling unconscious. Whoever recites or hears the following narration, so this is from the Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, so we're going to recite and hear this narration. So this is the benediction. Whoever recites, I'm reciting, or hears the following narration of the meeting of Pundarik Vidyanidhi and Sri Gadadhar Pandit will receive what? Prema, love for Krishna, the treasure of love of God. So here it is. When he first arrived in Navadvipa, Pundarik Vidyanidhi disguised himself as a worldly sense enjoyer. Besides Mukunda, nobody knew that Pundarik Vidyanidhi was a pure Vaishnava. Today I will introduce you to a most exceptional Vaishnava, said Mukunda, as he took Gadadhar Pandit to meet Pundarik Vidyanidhi. They saw Pundarik reclining on an opulent brass bed covered with red satin sheets, silk pillows, and topped with a three-tiered canopy. A gem-studded, what is it, pawn, right? Is it pawn? Yeah. Right. You ever had that? No. A gem-studded pawn box stuffed with fragrant spices and betel nuts waited within arm's reach. Two shiny brass spittoons stood as silent sentries beside the bed. Seeing the mirror stained red from his chewing pan, Pundarik laughed heartily. Two servants cooled him with peacock fans. Was this a Vaishnav or a prince wallowing in luxury, wondered Gadadhar Pandit. Doubts arose in Gadadhar Pandit's mind about Pundarik's spiritual status. Reading his mind, Mukunda decided to reveal the highly exalted transcendental identity of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Mukunda recited Srimad Bhagavatam 10.6.35. So you want to pass the mic to Javeda Prabhu? Want to pass the mic to him?
Ahobakiyam kalakalakuta jaganksayapya yirapya sadvi. Datra chitam katonyo kumbadayalam sadanam bhajema. Sorry, I forgot.
Yes. So this is the shloka that Mukunda recited to Pundarik Vidyanidhi in front of Gadadhar Pandit. And so this is, I'll read the translation, and then we'll hear the transformation of Pundarik Vidyanidhi after hearing this verse. Always hankering to taste the blood of small children, means killing them and tasting their blood. Putana came to kill baby Krishna. However, because she offered her breast to the Supreme Lord, Putana attained the greatest blessing of being accepted as a mother of Sri Krishna. So this is describing the mercy of Krishna, that even this demoness, Putana, came to kill Krishna. What did Krishna do? Did he say, all right, well, you're coming to kill me, so go to hell forever? He didn't say that. But he said, but what he did is he sent her back to Godhead, the spiritual world, Putana. Amazing. So therefore, who can we find that is more merciful than Krishna? Right? Many people's conceptions of God are very strange. And aside from being strange, many of the conceptions of God are that he's very vengeful, and he's very willing and able and ready. And not only is he willing, able, and ready, but he's sending people to hell by his design, by his arrangement, forever, for doing things that are considered bad, right? But our conception is, or the Vaishnava conception from the Srimad Bhagavatam, is that Krishna is extremely merciful, right? Karuna Sindhu, an ocean of mercy. There has to be practical, logical ways in which God displays his mercy. So here it is. He sends Putana back to Godhead, not to hell, forever. A lot of people's conceptions of God, if someone comes to kill God, he said, that's it, right? I mean, again, we mentioned this other day, we're discussing, but even what to speak of someone's not coming to kill God, they're just living a more or less, from a point of view, like even the mode of goodness, right? Because the mode of goodness is glorified in the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, the mode of goodness, very peaceful, and you live on a farm and everything. You're not hurting anybody, and you're living off the land, but you're vegan, but you're godless, right? There's no God in the picture. So even personalities like that, according to some person's conception, because they're godless, even though they're fully steeped in the mode of goodness, right, more or less. Of course, modes of passion, ignorance are there, but still, those people have to go to that fiery, right, lake, or whatever it is. We'll be hearing more later in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto. But it doesn't make any sense. And logical people, or people who are thinkers, they don't accept it. And therefore a lot of them reject religion. But here, we're seeing how merciful Krishna is, sending her back to Godhead. So when Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he heard this is what happened. Hearing this verse totally transformed Pundarik Vidyanidhi. A Ganges river of tears flooded his eyes. Perspiration rained from his body. His hair stood erect. He ripped off his embroidered silk shirt and wildly thrashed his legs about. Rolling on the ground, he wailed, "The Lord is infinitely merciful, yet he deprives me of his mercy. His clothes, brass bed, fine bed sheets, mirrors, spittoons, all his opulent trappings were ripped to shreds, smashed to bits. 10 men tried, but couldn't restrain the force of Pundarik's ecstasy." The manifestations of Pundarik Vidyanidhi's pure love for Krishna competed with one another for some time. Finally, his spiritual emotions reached their peak, and he lost external consciousness. After witnessing the spectacular display of transcendental feelings, Gadadhar Pandit realized his offense in misjudging Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be a materialistic devotee. To rectify his mistake, he wanted to seek initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. So yeah, it's a lesson for us also that Gadadhar Pandit, of course, he's Gadadhar Pandit, but member of the Panchatattva. But we could learn from this that we have to be careful not to judge a devotee on their external appearances, because or even because somebody says, "Oh, this devotee is not very intelligent," right? Oh, he's not got it. He doesn't have, his brain's not firing, or it looks like there's some screws missing, or the light bulb's not shining up there, or this devotee's whatever. He's this, or he's that, or she's this, or she's that, right? So we have to be careful, because after all, we're in the material world, and it's Kali Yuga, so it's an ocean of faults, means unlimited. So that means people have faults, and we may see them. Surprise, surprise. But to judge a devotee or to criticize a devotee on the basis of those faults or apparent faults, sometimes they're imaginary in our mind, it's considered to be not proper. Just like Gaura Pandit here, he was saying, oh, Pundarik Vidyanidhi, he's here and he's on a big opulent bed with this silk, whatever, sheets and this and that, and he's chewing pan, and he's got two servants, right, with the peacock fan, cooling him down, and he's enjoying, right? Looking like a materialistic sense enjoyer. Generally, when we think of a great Vaishnava, they don't do those things, right? We don't think of a Vaishnava doing that. They're more renounced and simple, and right? So yeah, we have to be careful. Because what we criticize in others, we may become. We may be put in that situation. Just like there's a story of a piece of cow dung, wet cow dung. It was on. What is it? How does it go actually? How does that one go? Huh? On the wall, but. Yeah. So there's a piece of cow dung that's going to be put into the fire to get burned or whatever, heated up. Huh? For fuel. Yeah, because first what they do, see, I don't have much experience with cow dung, sorry, but first what they do is when it's wet, they put it on a wall, right? Cow patties to dry. And after drying, then they heat it up, right, for fire, yeah. So there was a wet piece of cow patty there on the wall, and then there was one going in the fire. And the one on the wall who was still drying, right, he wasn't going in the fire. He said, oh, you're going into the fire, ha, ha, ha. And then the one going in the fire said, well, hey, you're next. So someone may be going into the fire, right? And whatever that translates into us, for us, means they may be having mistakes or this or that or whatever it is, and we're saying, oh, ha, 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 right? But it may happen to us because sometimes we see that happen. So, okay, so continuing. After witnessing the spectacular display of transcendental failings, Gaura Pandit realized his offense and misjudging Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be a materialistic devotee. To rectify his mistake, he wanted to take initiation from Pundarik Vidyanidhi. 6 hours later, so it's not that he was sleeping, but he was in this transcendental state. 6 hours later, Sri Pundarik returned to external consciousness. Now he seemed calm and composed. Happily, he initiated Gaura Pandit. Pundarik Vidyanidhi is Srimati Radharani's father in Vrindavan pastimes. His samadhi is in the 64 samadhis area. All right, so that's Pundarik Vidyanidhi. This pastime is more elaborately described with purports in Sri Caitanya Bhagavat, with commentaries by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So devotees could read it on their free time. It's a wonderful chapter. So the next one is Sri Raghunandana Thakur. It's also quite a unique devotee, special. Yeah, of course all devotees are special, but being called away on his medical business, Mukunda once asked his son, Raghunandana, to offer the Raj Bhog to the family deity of Gopinath. So Mukunda said, please, my dear boy, offer this Raj Bhog, the lunch, to Krishna. Raghunandana prepared everything timely, carefully, and with great devotion. When he made the offering, he remembered his father's order. Make sure the deity eats. Ringing the bell, the simple boy, so young boy, ringing the bell, the simple boy told the Gopinath deity. Eat, eat. Raghunandana began crying when he saw the untouched food remaining on the deity's plate. He feared his father's anger for his inability to make the deity eat. Gopinath couldn't resist the child's intense devotion, so the Lord ate everything on the plate, leaving no remnants. The deity. Upon returning, Mukunda asked for Gopinath's Mahaprasadam, the deity's Mahaprasadam. Raghunandana said the deity ate everything. Astonished, Mukunda told his son to make the offering again. From a hidden place, Mukunda watched in total amazement as Raghunandana offered a ladu to Gopinath. But the Lord only took half a ladu. Mukunda, you know why he took half a ladu? Huh? Huh? Because he was full. Yeah, so he could only take half a ladu, right? Because he just had prasadam. He was full. I mean, you know. Mukunda understood that the deity only took half because he was still full from eating the lunch offering. Choked with divine emotion and appreciation of his pure devotee son, Mukunda embraced Raghunandana. Later in Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu lovingly asked Mukunda Das, "Who is the father and who is the son?" Mukunda replied, "Raghunandana is definitely my father because he has given me Krishna Bhakti and showed me pure Krishna consciousness." In Krishna Lila, Raghunandana is Kandarpa Manjari. All right, so now we will hear about Raghunath Das Goswami. Born in a dynasty of Vaishnavas, Raghunath Das Goswami was the only son of a wealthy landowner. As a boy, he received Haridas Thakur's association and blessings. As a boy, did we ever receive... right, we received other people's association, not personalities like Haridas Thakur. But it's a good thing for parents to keep in mind, because some of you are parents. Maybe not. Right? Nobody's a parent here. Oh, okay, we got one father. No other fathers in the audience? No mothers? Okay. Well, we have a soon-to-be father, Pawan, right? The girl's on her way. So it's and I know some in the audience at least plan to have children, but it's a good thing for parents to keep in mind that the children, they need association, good association, saintly association with devotees. So to arrange for that's very important, rather than just giving them a bunch of bad association in the form of video games, etc. Video games are like, most of them it's really bad. Violent. Anyway, so he had this wonderful association of Haridas Thakur. All right. At 15, he met Lord Chaitanya. By the mercy of Lord Nityananda, he renounced a beautiful wife and an opulent family. He ran to Jagannath Puri to intimately serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Shiksha Guru, Srup Damodar, for 16 years. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave his personal Govardhan Shila and Gunjamala to Raghunath Das Goswami. Raghunath Das couldn't live after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left this world. So he came to Vrindavan to end his life by jumping off Govardhan Hill. Sri Rupa and Sanatan Goswami's affectionately received him. They convinced him to live on and enlighten all the Vrajvasi Vaishnavas with Sriman Mahaprabhu's Puri pastimes. For 3 hours a day on the banks of Radhakund, he spoke about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghunath Das did Radha Krishna Bhajan at Radhakund for 40 years. He lived an austere life of pure devotion. Raghunath Das Goswami showed the standard of renunciation required to attain the eternal loving service of Radha Giridhari. In the Nitya Nikunja Leelas at Radhakund, his perfect example enthuses all Gaudiya Vaishnavas to develop unalloyed pure devotion for Radha Krishna. So Prabhupada would comment on the Goswamis, Raghunath Das Goswami and other Goswamis living in Vrindavan, living in Radhakund. So he would say, what they displayed, this is the real standard of living in Vrindavan. Radhakund. Which we'll hear about. But Srila Prabhupada said that, Radhakund, Vasi, doesn't mean, because when we're talking about Babajis, means men who renounce, they go to Radhakund, they chant Hare Krishna all day and all night, sleep little, eat little, don't have any other business. But many people, they go there, and they're actually not doing that. They're doing other things, immoral things. So Srila Prabhupada said, to go to Radhakund and have 12 dozen Devi Dasis is not going to Radhakund. Means men go there and they have a bunch of lady friends, like monkeys, right? Monkeys. So then Srila Prabhupada would say, there's no surprise why there's so many monkeys in Vrindavan, because people engaged in monkey business, they take birth as monkeys in their next life. So yeah, there's a certain standard to living at Radhakund. I mean, Gorkashodas Babaji, one devotee was telling him, why don't you go to Radhakund and do your bhajan? And then your worship. And then at that time, this was whatever, I don't know when was Gorka? I don't know, maybe 200 years ago. But at that time, Gorkashodas Babaji said, I don't want to go to Radhakund because there's 12 deviant men there who are just, living there. And he said, I'm not going there. But anyways, so Raghunath Das Goswami, he's showing right here, that what it means to live at Radhakund. In case anybody wants to go, you got to try to. Of course, this standard is very extremely high, but some of the principles you have to be able to follow. So here you go. Chanting 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 holy names, doing Manasi Seva in his spiritual body, worshipping Govardhan Shila, bathing thrice in Radhakund, offering 1,000 obeisances to Krishna, offering 2,000 to Vaishnavas and embracing them. Now, I don't know if he embraced. Resting 90 minutes and some days not at all. Keep in mind, however, with an eternal social Lord externally rests, internally continued serving. He ate only 1 leaf cup, 100 grams of buttermilk daily. Throughout his life, he never ate anything for sense gratification. He took the bare minimum to keep the body and soul together. It is said that after his disappearance, Lord Chaitanya, Raghunath Das ate only fruit and milk. After Sri Sanatana Goswami left, he existed on a leaf cup of buttermilk every day or 2. So then it says he compiled or wrote many important books. Manu Shiksha, it's teachings to the mind. There's commentaries by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. There's also this book Urmila Devi put out, Prabhupada disciple, Manu Shiksha, which is commentaries of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and other Acharyas, as well as some commentary by some ISKCON devotees, gurus. So, interesting book. So, yeah, if you want to know more about Raghunath Das Goswami, we can go to the Chaitanya Charitamrita. All right, so we're making our way through. Of course, we could speak on one of these personalities every... Okay, so now we'll hear about Vishnupriya Devi. Srimati Vishnupriya Devi overflowed with all good qualities. So she's the wife of Lord Chaitanya. Her beauty surpassed the goddess of fortune. She was devoted to her parents and dutifully followed scriptural injunctions. Regularly she worshipped Tulsi Devi and observed vows of austerity, such as bathing thrice in the Ganges. Whenever she met Shachi Mata, Lord Chaitanya's mother, at the Ganges, Vishnupriya would humbly bow down at her feet. Sachi Devi often thought that chaste, beautiful Vishnupriya would make an ideal bride for her son, Nimai. After Lakshmi Priya Devi, Lord Chaitanya's first wife, died in separation from the Lord, Nimai Pandit married Srimati Vishnupriya Devi, so she's the second wife. Chaitanya Mangala and Chaitanya Bhagavat give elaborate descriptions of this most auspicious wedding. Buddhimant Khan, a rich landowner, bore all expenses of the opulent royal wedding of the divine couple, Vishnupriya and Lord Chaitanya. The Vaishnavas sang Hari's glories. The Brahmins made a circle around the Lord and chanted the Vedas. Everyone floated in bliss. In Chaitanya Mangal, Lochan Das tells pastimes not mentioned elsewhere. He narrates the especially touching last conversation Lord Chaitanya had with Vishnupriya Devi the night before he took sannyas. So Vishnupriya was young. She was 16. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 24. Usually people accept sannyas when men accept sannyas when they're 50 plus. But Lord Chaitanya accepted extremely young, 24, with young Vishnupriya. And she was so attached to him, like inconceivably attached to Lord Chaitanya. And still he left. To teach us, actually, that even if the situations are good, beyond good, if it's time to leave, it's time to make a certain step, it's time to make a certain step. And we have to do it if we want to make spiritual advancement. Because it's not that Vishnupriya was, like we read some quote the other night, I think it was last night, Chanakya Pandit quote, saying that if the household life is just not conducive for spiritual advancement, Chanakya Pandit was just saying the man should just go to the forest, just leave. That's what he was saying. But it's not that here Vishnupriya, she was a bad wife, or Vishnupriya, the most qualified ever. But still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left. Now, so anyways, it's an interesting point. He accepted sannyas. So before he accepted sannyas, the night before he left, right? The night before he left, I think he left early in the morning, but he had a conversation with Vishnupriya because there was some rumor that he was going to leave. So this is what the conversation is here. In a voice choked with emotion, Vishnupriya said, "Tell me, O Prananath, Lord of my life, is it true, the rumor I had heard, that you will take sannyas and leave me? If I lose your association, I might as well end my life by drinking poison." Responding with gentle, compassionate words, Lord Chaitanya said, "Vishnupriya, you are as dear to me as life itself. There's no need to worry. Please hear what I am about to say, for it will help you. The only truth in this world is Bhagavan and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion." Catch that? The only truth in this world is Bhagavan, Krishna, and the Vaishnavas. Everything else is illusion. Fathers, mothers, children, relationships between men and women are all illusory. Krishna is the master, the real husband of everyone. Don't lament, don't worry. Your name is Vishnupriya. Therefore, fulfill the real meaning of Vishnupriya and always think of Krishna within your heart. Then Lord Chaitanya showed his four-armed form, which helped Vishnupriya understand his absolute position. Seeing this vanquished Vishnupriya's grief and pain, she felt blissful. This vision and Lord Chaitanya's instructions removed her bewilderment. But she kept the mentality of taking the Lord as her husband. Sobbing and falling at the Lord Chaitanya's feet, she said, I beg you to accept my humble submission. You are the most dear Lord of my life, my only wealth. Without you, without your service, I have nothing. Lord Chaitanya embraced Vishnupriya with his eyes. He gave her mercy with these words, I shall travel here and there, but wherever I go, I shall always remain at your place. Understanding the supremely independent nature of Lord Chaitanya, Vishnupriya said, you must do what makes you happy, my Lord. Let no one be an obstacle to your divine mission. So then he left. And that's all described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat and Chaitanya Charitamrita. After Sri Nimai Pandit left Navadvipa, Vishnupriya adopted an austere and devoted life. She became as thin as the crescent moon before Amavasya. Following a rigid sadhana, she set aside 1 grain of rice for every round of Hare Krishna Japa she chanted. So if you chant 64 rounds, that's 64 grains of rice, which it's not very much. So, no, she was chanting more, but I was just saying, even 64, that's not very much. So how much can you chant in a day? Maybe 192 grains of rice or something like that. Not much. It could be long grain rice. In the evening, Vishnupriya Devi cooked these grains, offered them to her personal deity of Mahaprabhu, and honored the remnants, known today as Dhamesvara Mahaprabhu. So devotees could go see that deity. When you go to Mayapur, everybody should go to Mayapur. You should be making plans right now in your mind after this class, how you're going to go to Mayapur at some point. But everybody should go to Mayapur. And when they go to Mayapur, you could walk down to the Ganga, walk down to the river, and hop on a boat, go over to Navadvipa, and once you get off the boat, you tell the rickshaw wala, who'll be very eager to accept your money. You tell him, please take me to Dhamesvara Mahaprabhu, and he'll say yes. Hop on, get on the rickshaw, and you'll arrive there at Dhamesvara Mahaprabhu's temple. A very beautiful deity. I don't know, maybe 5 feet, something like that. Maybe smaller, but. And he's made out of, it seems, what, neem wood? Yeah, neem wood. He's, effulgent yellow color. And he has his hands out like this. She carved the deity. Yeah, she carved the deity, Vishnupriya. So this is the deity that Vishnupriya would worship. So you could go there and pray for his blessings. Of course, from here, it's a hop on a plane, and it's a whole journey. But anyways, eventually everybody should go. Known today as Dhamesvara Mahaprabhu, Vishnupriya's gorgeous deity of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu resides in Navadvipa. Sriman Mahaprabhu receives regular worship and gives unlimited mercy. Okay, so we just have one more. This is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, great commenter on the Srimad Bhagavatam. Absolutely amazing, actually. It's just, if you read the 10th canto commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Mahanidhi Swami and Bhanu Swami, I believe, they put out a book, Sarartha Darshani. Giraj Gopal Prabhu, maybe he's listening, I don't know. But he gave me this book years ago, and I read it. It's absolutely amazing. The commentaries of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that what he brings out. Appearing in 1638, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Hali Vallabha Das, came in the disciplic succession from Srila Narottam Das Thakur. Vishwanath took Diksha from Sri Radha Raman Chakravarti. Although married, Vishwanath was indifferent and soon renounced family life. He came to Vrindavan and did Krishna Bhajan at Radhakund. He was known as the crest jewel of the Vaishnavas because of his pure devotion, scholarship, and realized perception of Radha Gokulananda's intimate conjugal pastimes. Gaudiya authorities say that Sri Rupa Goswami is Vagdeva Avatar, an incarnation of the god of speech, Rupa Goswami. And Gaudiya Acharyas, especially among his direct disciples, believe Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is an incarnation of Srila Rupa Goswami. Among all Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharyas, only Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comes close to matching Srila Rupa Goswami's profound realizations on the absolute truth. Vishwanath Chakravarti's name itself implies his position. Vishwanath means he who reveals the jewel of devotion to Vishwanath, Sri Krishna, the Lord of the universe. Chakravarti means he who expands the chakra, circle of bhakti. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur was the protector, guardian, and acharya during the middle period, 1600-1700, of the historical development of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. During his stay in Vrindavan, Vishwanath worshipped deities of Radha Gokulananda and Shri Giriraj. His Govardhan Shila was first worshipped by Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya was worshipping the Shila, then Raghunath Das Goswami, then Krishna Das Kaviraj, then Mukunda Das, then Srimati Krishna Priya Thakurani, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So, today this Giriraj Govardhan resides in Radha Gokulananda Temple in Vrindavan. Some claim the Govardhan Shila is in Bhagavat Nivas in Ramanreti near the ISKCON Krishna Balarama Mandir. In a dream, Krishna ordered Vishwanath to make commentaries on the Goswami's books. Immediately he started writing prolifically. Clouds would shield him from the sun whenever he sat to write. So he was writing, and then the clouds would shield him from the sun, which is valuable in Vrindavan because it gets super hot. And guess what? Once a torrential downpour flooded the area where Vishwanath was writing his Bhagavat commentaries. Miraculously, not a drop touched Vishwanath or his Bhagavat manuscript. So, while complying Mantrartha Deepika, Vishwanath became perplexed. According to the exhaustive research which indicated 25, this is Kam Gayatri, he couldn't substantiate why Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Kam Gayatri contains 24 and 1/2 syllables, and that these syllables correspond to the 24 and 1/2 moons present on Krishna's transcendental body. In a dream, Srimati Radhika instructed Vishwanath, "O Vishwanath, please don't lament anymore. What Krishnadas Kaviraj wrote is true. He is also my confidential maidservant, and he knows everything about my secret innermost moods. This Kam Gayatri is the mantra for worshipping me. Indeed, I can be known by the syllables of this mantra. Without my mercy, no one can learn anything about the mystery of this mantra." Okay, so here's the solution. The solution to the half syllables found in the book Varnagama Basvadi. See, in this book, Krishnadas wrote, as he did, the letter Ya, which is followed by the letter V, as in the words Kamadevaya Vidmahe, is considered to be half a syllable. This falls on Krishna's forehead because his forehead is shaped like the halo of a half moon. All the other letters of the mantra are full syllables and therefore full moons. Now wake up, check that book, and compile this evidence for everyone's benefit.
What are the other 24?
You tell us. You have the mic? So these are the moons of Krishna's body. Said to be
Toenails, 10 toenails, 10 fingernails, that's 20. The 2 cheeks, 22. The face, 23. And the sandalwood paste on the forehead, 24.
Nice.
And of course the half moon, that's 24 and a half.
Nice. Thank you. So he's having dreams in which Krishna is instructing him, and Radharani's instructing him, so it's great. Instantly awakened, Vishwanath cried out in ecstasy, "Hey Radhe, hey Radhe, hey Radhe." Having Radharani's darshan infused Vishwanath Chakravarti's writing with divine Shakti, he felt that he had been accepted as one of Srimati Radharani's confidential maidservants. His writings reflected this realization. Okay, just a little bit more, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur wrote over 40 Sanskrit books on the science of pure devotion to Radha Giridhari. He also made the sweetest, most highly realized Rasika Tikas commentaries on Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, the works of Srila Rupa Goswami. He also wrote other books, Madhuri Kandambani and so on. The life and teachings of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives happiness, inspiration, transcendental wisdom to the entire Gaudiya Sampradaya. We sincerely pray that after thousands of births, we will someday qualify to become a particle of dust under the lotus feet, under his lotus feet. So one last thing about Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is that Srila Prabhupada, he became inspired by the commentary of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur on this particular verse in the Bhagavad Gita, 241. You know that one? Vyavasayat makabudhir ekeha kudanandana bahu shaka hinantascha bodhya vavisainam. That those who are on this path of Krishna consciousness, their determination is fixed or resolute. And those who are not on this path, their intelligence is many-branched. So, in other words, you have to have laser focus. And in the commentary, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, paraphrasing, but he says that it doesn't matter what happens, whether I go to hell, whether this happens, whether that happens. My main business, whether this universe explodes, my main business is to follow the order of my spiritual master and accept that as my life and soul. So Srila Prabhupada read this, and it inspired him in his preaching and spreading Krishna consciousness. So there's other things, but I think we could stop there. But we could talk about Vasant Panchami, Saraswati Puja, other things, but I think we could stop there. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hold on, Vijay.
Yes.
There's just two little things that take about 30 seconds. First of all, I discovered that the verse that you cued me to chant was not the verse that was chanted for Pundarik. It was another verse in the 10th canto.
We need an editor for this book.
At the 10th canto, which simply describes, this is a translation, Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breast to the Lord, she attained the greatest achievement. Now that's there in the other verse. But the other verse was an example of Krishna's extraordinary mercy, because he delivered her and gave her a position as a wet nurse in the spiritual world. But the following verse, which I won't read, but which he was not a reminder was, calls attention to the gopis, especially the elder gopis, which is, and that it's a what to speak of argument. What to speak of those who were always offering Krishna things, favorably and so forth. So he remembered the gopis, and that's why he went into the total ecstasy. Whereas Uddhava was remembering the mercy at a different level.
Yeah, what to speak of, yeah.
Yeah, and just one note about this commentary for Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yes, that book about with the 10th canto comments was extraordinary when it came out. So Deva Swami, he took all the whole thing, commentary of Vishwanath of the entire Bhagavatam has been translated by Bhanu Swami, and that is now available in the ebook. You can write to me, you can get that. Plus, in the 10th canto, he also has Jiva Goswami's commentary and Sanatana Goswami, all translated. So if you're into that, really researching that, And also, Ramapati Prabhu didn't speak up about his children.
What about his children?
No, you look. Who has no one has any children here.
Oh, yeah, Ramapati. Yeah, there's a father right there. Sorry, he was hiding. Okay, any other comments before we take Vijay? Okay, you could.
May I?
Yes.
Yes, Balaram Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, and thank you for your, as usual, wonderful class. Prabhu, my question is related to Pundarik Vidyanidhi disguising himself as a worldly sense enjoyer. And because of this, it happened that Mukunda took Gadadhar to visit Pundarik, and Gadadhar couldn't be there, recognizing Pundarik Vidyanidhi as a pure devotee, and then he committed the offense. So, based on this, my question is, when I am in the presence of any human being, who knows, he may be disguised, what measures should I take in order to not follow in the footsteps of Gadadhar and commit the same kind of offense?
Well, you should test them. You should chant a shloka from the Bhagavatam and see what happens.
Yes, of course.
See how advanced they are. No, well, I mean, as a general principle, I mean, of course, Gadadhar Pandit is a member of the Panchatattva, and this is all Leela, this is all pastime, and it's not that like Gadadhar Pandit was in Maya or something, but yeah, it does teach an important lesson that we have to be careful. So I would just say that we have to always, until we become fully realized in certain aspects or in Krishna consciousness, and we have to always remind ourselves what the truth is. Like Mamai Vangsho, Jiva Loke, Jiva Buddha Sanatana, that everybody, they're all part and parcels of Krishna. So if we haven't realized that completely, then we may have to remind ourselves, right? We should remind ourselves, hey, these people are part and parcel of Krishna. Now, if one is extremely advanced, then they don't have to remind themselves because that's what they're seeing all the time. But we may have to remind ourselves, just like you have this pastime of Ranti Dev. He's in the Bhagavatam. It's like 5 verses or 10 verses, something very small, few pages in the Bhagavatam, but amazing personality. He was fasting for 48 days, him and his family, and then a Brahmin came and said, I'm hungry, and then Ranti Dev, okay, take a portion of my food. And then a Shudra came, okay, take a portion of my food. And then a Chandala came. Or no, then somebody came with a bunch of dogs. Okay, here, dogs, you take some of it. And then a Chandala came, and he said, oh, you take it all, right? Or the water, right? You take. So he distributed all of his food and all of his water, right? And then actually Shiva and Brahma, they were disguised as all these personalities. And then Rantidev at the end, after the Chandala, he made this prayer to Krishna. He said, I do not pray to, for the mystic perfections, and I do not pray for, what everybody else is praying for, this, that, so many material things. But he says, I pray that I could remain with the living entities and work for their benefit and relieve their suffering. And because he had this mood, which was like Vasudev Dutt, those who know Vasudev Dutt and Chaitanya Charitamrita, because he had this mood, it says in the Bhagavatam verse that Maya just vanished like a dream. He was completely, right? So personalities like Rantidev, they don't have to think about it. It's not like an exercise or something. All right, well, I have to be merciful. I really don't feel like being merciful, but I got to be merciful. He wasn't like, when someone was coming to beg for the food, he wasn't thinking, you know what, I'm kind of hungry, and you're a low-class Chandala, and, I don't want anything to do with you. But it was spontaneous. It was just flowing, Take it, please. So until we get to that platform, we have to remind ourselves over and over and over again and try to work on ourselves, means purify our heart to the point that we actually always see like that. So yeah, when you meet somebody, you should see them as eternal souls, eternal servants of Krishna, and as part and parcels of Krishna. And until we've realized that, we have to remind ourselves.
Yes, Balaram Prabhu, if I may, breathtaking answer to my question. Okay. Outstanding. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
It says Rantidev offered obeisances too to these personalities, to the dogs, and so it's really, anyways. All right. Yes, thank you very much. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, Raghunandana Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami, Vishnupriya Devi, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Ki Jai. Vishant Panchami Ki Jai, as well as Saraswati Puja, as well as Tamal Krishna Goswami's 50th sannyas anniversary.